Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock. We were actually going to get started on time until my daughter started bugging me about something. But hey, as a Steelers fan, where else would you rather be? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's the air up there tonight?
We'll just breathe in another Steeler victory. Again, not pretty. Again, not exciting. Again, they somehow figured out how to get a W.
Yeah, how to get a W. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I haven't really been looking forward to doing this show tonight. I'm kind of exhausted with a lot of Steeler fans. Not all Steeler fans, a lot. But then I got to thinking about this show, and I'm like, the people that are here on this show and in the live chat, they're a little bit different. Now, sometimes we'll get some weirdy comments on YouTube after the fact, but the ones that are here live and everything, they're a little bit more. But man, some people were just exhausting. And I know you're not always on Twitter or anything. This actually went out on our YouTube channel as well, but didn't know if you've ever watched any of Jeff Hartman's grilling thoughts that he's been doing, these little shorts. But he did one tonight, and he's just like, can we stop with the Kenny Pickett debate? And he kind of teased it. He's going to talk about it on Let's Ride tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that show. And you know what? I agree with him wholeheartedly. It's just kind of exhausting. But we're going to get into that because we're going to talk about a lot of different things from this game. And then there's a question that we're going to ask about him as we go. We're not going to just focus on the question that's the title of the show. We're going to apply this to a lot of things as we go. And that is, are the Steelers only winning by not losing? So what do we mean by that? People are like, well, isn't that kind of, if you're not losing, you're winning, and unless you're talking about ties or whatever? No. What do we mean by that, Rich? Hello?
Well, my first general thought is they're winning, but I'm not all that excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my thing is, it's not that I'm not excited about it, because you know what I've decided? I'm really tired of the fans that are like, it only matters if they win in the postseason. You know what? You know what you're doing? You're robbing yourself of 4 months. You might as well not even watch the regular season. If you only care about winning in the postseason, then don't watch the games now. Just don't. And if that's all you care about, then you can't even enjoy a Steelers game now. So don't watch it. Just don't. Wait until the playoffs. Try to get to know the team then.
Playoffs?
If that's all that matters. Don't tell me you're going to maybe have to go.
Playoffs?
Yeah. Of course.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
No, I'm not kidding you. I'm not. But so that just kind of gets frustrating. Not because it's not that I disagree that winning in the playoffs should be important. But saying that's all that matters is just so dumb. It's just so dumb, because you're saying that you don't care about training camp. Don't even bother reading the reports about that. You don't care about the preseason. You don't care about how the roster is going to get made up to 53, because you don't even care about the regular season, because you only care about the playoffs. So I would just say, why are you even watching the show now? Why, if you only care about the playoffs? So that's the thing. I want to enjoy sitting down and watching a Steelers game. Now, you're right. Is their style of play not exciting? And sometimes you feel like you want to bust out the boring chant? I agree.
Well, actually, this game was different, but the same. Okay.
All right. What did Dave
this game
was different?
Yes, it was. This game was different, but the same.
Yeah.
Different in that it was a different start, at least offensively, for the Steelers. And the Steelers marched down and scored on their first drive. Whoo! And I'm like, okay, come on, defense, let's get a hold and get the ball back. Let the Packers drive and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. The Packers offense is terrible. Okay, that's fine. Steelers, get it back. It's like, drive down, Score another touchdown. Woo! Okay, come on, defense. Let's get it back. Defense gets it back, and you're thinking, all right, here we go. Steelers get a field goal. Go up 10. You're like, yes. All right, D. It's okay if you let them move it a little bit, but don't let them score. Not only do we let them score, we let them score another touchdown. Now, of course, we got the blocked extra point on that one. But at this point, I'm sitting there, and what is going through my mind, come on, the offense has finally showed up early in the game, giving the Steelers the chance to get out in front and put a game away early, and they still can't do it.
I don't know that the Steelers are a put them away team. Honestly, because I was looking at it. Okay, right now the Steelers, there are 3 of their 9 games that they have played have been against teams who currently do not have a winning record. There's one team that is at 500 and 2 that have losing records. The team that is at 500 is the Raiders. The 2 teams with the losing records are the Rams and the Packers, who they just played. Now, when the Steelers played the Rams, they were 500, and the Steelers are the ones who started them on a losing streak. Did they start them on a losing streak, or was it the week before? But in other words, that was right in that moment. So the Rams weren't considered a poor opponent. They had to go on the road, had to go to the West Coast. That was completely different. But if you want to look at, let's say, the Raiders and the Packers game, those 2 games are kind of different than the rest of the Steelers' wins. And that is the Steelers actually had a lead and needed to hold on to it. Now, the Steelers had the lead throughout the game against the Packers, lost it in the third quarter towards the end, but got it back. And then they still had to hold that lead through the fourth quarter. And Steelers fans are like, well, the Steelers really need to just put them away. I don't know that that's what they're – unfortunately, I don't even know that they're trying. Because they're not trying to put a team away. They're trying to just win the game.
Think about this. The Steelers were there to put this one away.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm sorry. The Green Bay Packers offense is not good. And really, if you go and you look at what went on, the Steelers should not have given up the 2 touchdowns they gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, think if the halftime score is 17-6
Mm-hmm.
or 17-3 or 17-0.
Yeah.
Or
even just say one of 17-9. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
But at the same time,
Quite possibly.
or the Steelers, but let's say where they are at that point. If the score is that point, let's say it's 17-6. We'll just throw it out there. Are the Steelers going to come out with the mentality of putting the game away? Or are they going to come out with the mentality of don't screw it up, just win? That's what I feel that they are.
See,
I mean,
you say that, but I'd like to see a game where the Steelers get the chance to do that. Why? Because I would have loved to seen this in the second half. Would have loved to seen the Steelers come out with a double-digit lead after the half and be like, okay, let's see what we can do to run the football and run the clock and use the team, trying to get the other team to have to step up and do that. Maybe that'll loosen things up when we go to throw the ball. I'd just like to have seen it to see what the Steelers would do in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we saw in 2019 how a Mike Tomlin coach team handles a non-Hall of Fame quarterback. If he doesn't have the Hall of Fame caliber quarterback that's playing at a Hall of Fame level, or at least you feel could play at a Hall of Fame level, it's pretty much Tomlin spoke the words in 2019. He didn't kill us. That's kind of the philosophy. If you have the lead, you have the defense, which we could talk about that defense a little bit more, which I have some ideas about that. You have the lead, you have the defense. You're playing not to lose. If you have the lead, and they had the lead against a couple of these inferior teams, like the Raiders, like the Packers. They play not to lose. In these other games, when they're playing the teams like the Ravens, the mentality is stick around long enough and see if we can pull it out at the end. And then that's when you say, all right, Kenny, go get it. I think Coach Tomlin wants fourth quarter Kenny. That's what he wants. Stick around. Don't turn the ball over. Keep us in the game. And against good teams, go out there and win it at the end. And against teams that aren't as good, we need to hold on. I mean, I'm not saying that's definitely what their philosophy is that they would state. It just feels that way based on what they've done through 9 games.
Now, I will say this. The offense had the opportunity and really could have and should have put that game away.
Yeah.
Okay. I put it in my knee-jerk article when I wrote it. Calvin Austin can't draw that PI penalty. It was correct. I'd have thrown that flag
There's a
all
lot
day.
of people that say, "No, that was a terrible."
No. You know why?
Was Calvin Austin trying to commit offensive pass interference? I don't think he was. But when you see that,
it actually looked like he was, even though I don't think he was. Because why?
Mm-hmm.
He saw the contact coming, lowered his shoulder, and braced for it.
Mm-hmm. Because he's a little dude.
That is going to draw the flag every single time.
When an offensive guy runs into a defensive guy who's in man-to-man on a different person, and that person then is open to catch the ball, they're going to call offensive pass interference. There's a lot of people that said, "Oh, I disagree."
It depends
blah, blah,
on,
blah.
no, I still
would have
think
happened.
I still think it depends on how you run into him.
Yeah.
How do you run into him? Well, you can't.
Yeah.
No question the way Calvin Austin ran into him, they're going to throw the flag. Last second, he dips his shoulder. He prepared for the contact.
Yeah.
That's going to be called 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah. And I mean, and some people were like, "Oh, no, that was so questionable." No, I mean, even some of the media, I'm like, if the Steelers would have been on defense and the Packers would have done that on the last play of the game to win the game, and they wouldn't have called that, I'd have been furious. Because when that happens,
for the same reason I said, it's one thing if you're not, if an offensive guy's not looking, if you're like, oh, they didn't see each other, their paths collided.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But you can't even begin to say that was the case when Calvin Austin braces himself and lowers, dips his shoulder slightly. So,
like what Sherry said, if he just runs through instead of doing what he did, I would say possibly, because you never knew that NFL officials.
Well, then right. Then
they
you're going
weren't bad in this game, I didn't think.
50-50 on the flag. Yeah. But with what Calvin Austin did, it's 100% they were going to throw it. Yeah. And so I was upset. But it would have been cool if that wouldn't have been it, if he wouldn't have committed that penalty, because basically the Steelers finished that game.
Yeah, this is what's so frustrating with Steelers fans. I literally saw somebody blame that play on Matt Canada. Matt Canada should have never had 2 receivers that close to each other in the pattern. I'm like, that was the plan. It's
actually,
a crossing
we don't do that enough.
They needed to do more.
We don't run enough crossing patterns and rubs and things like that other teams do. We run a few. Yeah. We actually just don't run enough. And maybe it's part of the problem. Maybe that's why Austin had the penalty. We don't run them enough.
Yeah.
So he hasn't figured out how to do that correctly to where you don't commit the penalty. I don't know. But that was a penalty.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is I'm if they wouldn't have called it. Well, I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't notice it in real time. I only saw it on the replay.
But
the thing is, I think George Pickett would have been open to complete that pass, even if Austin doesn't run into the guy.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. The sad part is making contact with that player wasn't even needed for George Pickett to be open and convert that first down.
Yes, because he had a step on him. We had a step.
He already had a step before they got to that point, and honestly, Kenny Pickett threw a really nice ball.
Yeah.
So even if that guy was closer, he threw a nice enough ball there that it would have been caught for a first down, even if we hadn't knocked that guy totally off the play.
Okay, well, I said something there that I want to kind of take back. I'm like, well, he had a bunch of. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett threw bad balls on Sunday. I didn't like some of his decision making. I thought he had some of his worst decision making game that I've seen him have this year. So, yeah. So,
Yeah, that was definitely not sharp, Kenny.
yeah.
That was, I don't have my greatest, I'm not having the greatest day today. Let me hang on and see if I can finish.
Yeah. And
that was a thank God Najee and Jalen were, having big days on the ground.
Yeah. And I want to come back and talk about some stuff from Coach Tom's press conference, but I'm just going to say one thing. I was kind of, Jeff went on and on the post-game show about Kenny Pickett not having a good day. And I was just like, this was not, I'm like, this, and I'm not saying Jeff was wrong. I'm like, the Steelers ran for 205 yards and they averaged over 5 yards a carry. And we want to focus on Kenny Pickett on a game where Kenny Pickett wasn't even a necessary part of the equation. If he's going to have a day that he's not making very good decisions, which was still nice that they didn't have any interceptions, give it to me on a day when you're running the ball for 200 plus yards.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm like, why are we focusing on what didn't happen?
The running game is beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to see some more of that. I have become a real fan of the two-headed back. It has turned out the way you and I have kind of talked, that there are touches out there for both of those guys, and there are effective touches out there for both of those guys. It's not just one carry the load, the other one just spell them here. No, it is production from both guys. And if that can continue, this offense becomes a lot more dangerous.
Yeah. Yep.
And for the second week in a row, both of them scored a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, and the thing is that I find interesting is if you were to tell me after the Steelers lost to the Jaguars, and you'd say, you know what, Dave, Steelers, next 2 games, they're going to run for over 370 yards combined. How ecstatic would I be? And yet, Steelers fans are looking at me crazy that I'm not down on the team. And I'm like, they just ran for 166 yards and 205 yards.
I see that. What's funny is you're sitting there saying that, and I'm thinking, what would they? I see that little meme or that little video clip with the kid in the back of the car, and he's like, BS. Have you seen that?
No,
that little kid. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. And if somebody tell you that, they would have said, that's
yeah. So I'm like,
bullcrap.
So I'm like that. I'm like, I would have been so happy, but yet I'm supposed to be down because Kenny Pickett had a down game against the Packers in a game that it seemed like from the very beginning, it's almost like the game plan came as like, Kenny, don't know how much we're going to need you today. We're going to run all over these guys. That's what we're going to do. Do your thing. Come through when we come. Make the throws when we need you to make the throws. Need to get us some first downs, things like that. But pretty much we're going to rely on the run game. Don't kill us, and just let those 2 guys eat. So, which was fine. That's what they were doing. I mean, that's what they did. And you know what? They won. Several things today from Coach Tomlin's press conference. There was something and lots of stuff going on about this. And I saw headline after headline and reporter after reporter putting this out there. And I had to ask Jeff and Bad. I'm like, you guys both listened to the press conference, right? They said, yeah. I'm like, did you take that as Coach Tomlin saying they're not bringing in bringing in an inside linebacker from outside the organization? And like, yeah, that's what he said. I'm like, that's not what I thought he said at all. That's not what I thought he said at all. So I talked about a little bit on the press conference recap. For those of you in the live chat, I want you to hear this and see where I'm coming from, because maybe that's what you heard. Maybe I'm crazy. But what it was Coach Tomlin went on for more than 2 minutes he was talking about communication and communication with the defense and how there's an issue with communication. Your green dot goes out for the season. You get another green dot ready. They go out early in the game. And your big major communicator for your entire defense, mainly in the secondary, but still for the whole defense because they have everything in front of them, your all-pro safety is out. Communication is a problem. Communication was the biggest problem with the Steelers' pass defense, in my opinion. We can talk about that in a little bit. But he talked about communication, lost Cole Holcomb without Con Alexander. I'm trying to read exactly where it is when he said this. It's like, and then I'll even read the last sentence before he said the thing that everyone took. He's like, man, our fans, this was talking about the noise struggling with communication. Our fans provide an awesome atmosphere, the challenging one for opposing offenses, but at the same time challenging for us as defenders as well. And so that has our attention. We're not looking outside the organization, to be quite honest with you, as I stand here right now, in terms of solution regarding those issues. We got guys we're comfortable with. And everyone took that line as meaning they're not bringing in an inside linebacker from outside the organization. I keep wanting to say they're not bringing in an inside linebacker. I keep correcting it because it just sounds weird. But everyone took it like that. And I'm like, I'm not taking that they're not bringing in another inside linebacker. They have to. I mean, they're down to 4 guys total, including the practice squad. You've got to have more bodies. To me, I took that as Coach Tomlin saying anyone that they bring in, whether it's on the 53 or on the practice squad, isn't going to be someone who's going to come in and solve communication problems, because you can't jump on the moving train at this point of the season and solve those issues. That's what I took away from that.
Not just that, you're not bringing in you're not. Doesn't matter what you do right now. You're not bringing in a guy that's Cole Holcomb or Quan Alexander.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're not bringing in a guy that's going to be their level of talent and communication tells you right then that you can't depend on going outside the organization to fix the communication issue.
And see, but everyone was saying that was Coach Tomlin saying no inside linebackers from coming in from outside. That's what's happening. That's what he said. He wasn't.
Well, let me tell you,
because inside linebacker was the position. He went on talking about communication for forever. But to me, when he said to deal with that issue, everyone took what that he meant as that issue being not having enough inside linebackers, where I looked at that issue as being communication.
Yeah.
So I still think they're going to have they even if it's just practice squad level guys, they're got to bring in one, if not two. I mean, they're clearing out space for it. We'll talk about that.
I was going to say, I was about to talk about that. I was about to talk about clearing out the space. When you add the guy to IR and make 2 moves and drop 2 guys off the practice squad, you are preparing to potentially make some moves because you're maybe going to need some help.
So, the Steelers did make some moves between yesterday and today. Yesterday, they released Braden Fehoko. Now, I didn't see where he got claimed off waivers. Even though it's now 5.5 hours later, I still haven't seen that he was. So I'm assuming he cleared waivers. So honestly, I'm expecting a Fehoko to the practice squad announcement tomorrow morning, if he's interested in that. Going back to do that. That would have been part of the reason why they cleared off the practice squad. So you moved him off the 53. You put Alexander on IR. So they're down to 51 players. One of those spots, because Coach Tomlin talked about it, they're ready for Pat Freiermuth to see if he can go this week, which he didn't say they're opening his window, but that just tells us tomorrow they're opening Pat Freiermuth's window. They are. Yes. I mean, you don't say that in a press conference and have him not come out to start his practice window. So Pat Freiermuth, that window should open. That means if he's back this week, he's one of those spots on the 53. What's the other spot? Well, if the other spot is one of the inside linebackers, then why did they cut 2 guys from the practice squad if they knew they were going to move one guy from the practice squad up? Because they cut the tight end, which makes sense because now if you got another tight end back, you don't need another one in the rotation with everything. I was really disappointed that they cut Joey Fisher. Not sure why they're doing that because of stuff with the offensive line. But maybe they just needed the spot. But the thing that surprised me is that tells me that they're going to probably use practice squad elevations for those inside linebackers for now, because it's really the same thing as long as you have them. So I'm not really sure what so they got to be adding some practice squad guys. They have to have guys that they're ready to add. So that's any thoughts there?
I pretty much agree with you with how I see it potentially going down. So nothing really new to add to that.
Okay. So let's go ahead and break, and then we come back. I want to talk about the defensive communication because we mentioned that a little bit. That's something we would get to. So if you're with us here, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, we're not going anywhere. On the audio side, we'll be back right after these messages. All right, Steelers fans, we are back. We are rolling on. We're wanting to talk about things with the Steelers with this past game and kind of things going forward, and overall philosophy of why we're asking the questions. Are the Steelers only winning by not losing? And is that kind of, how often are they playing the, don't kill us game? I still early in his career, I think that's what they're trying to do in Green and Kenny Pickett, but that's just me. When you got a lead, don't kill us. Don't turn it over. So the defensive communication, it was really frustrating to see guys getting that open that far downfield, wasn't it?
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
That's right. So I don't know how many times I saw where they were running, two different levels. Steelers were in zone, and both guys went deep, went with the deep guy. Two guys on the deep guy, the intermediate guy who's sitting, 15 yards past the line of scrimmage, 15 to 20 yards past the line of scrimmage, wide open. Because both guys went with the deep guy. Because when in doubt, don't let him kill you on one play. But to me, that's a communication issue. And I saw that several times. Were you seeing the same thing?
I was.
Yeah.
Although I saw one other thing that was bothering me at times.
What's that?
Okay. Either there's one of two things here. And part of it is me maybe calling myself out. Either A, I don't understand the concept of zone defense, or B, the Steelers have some guys that don't understand the concept of zone defense.
Now, zone defense requires everyone being on the same page. And you've got to know what everyone is doing.
The biggest thing is this. Okay? And I'm only saying this because my short stint in football was spent as a defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if I always was of the understanding, if I'm a defensive back and I have a zone, and a guy comes into my zone, and maybe this is the basketball in me, it's my job to guard that guy in my zone. Am I wrong?
See, I was going to do a basketball comparison when you were done talking.
I mean, am I wrong that, that guy in my zone then he's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And if that guy runs through and off my zone, I'm to pass him off to the next zone.
So you have to have the trust that the person in your neighboring zones are doing their job.
Yes. So first there's a trust issue, but there's another issue that I saw a couple times that just seemed to annoy me. There were a couple times during the game where it looked like we had defensive backs playing zone. Mm-hmm. And their idea of playing zone was to drop to the middle of their zone and wait.
Yeah.
And wait. Wait for the ball to be thrown. Wait for somebody to come into their zone with the ball. Wait. If someone came into their zone, it wasn't, oh, there comes a guy into my zone. Let me move up and make a play. It was, well, let's see if they throw it to him, and then I'll make a play.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's not the right way to do it. But maybe that's the way that they're
I
supposed
don't even
to
know
do
that
it.
you said they were at the middle of their zone. I don't think so. I think they were at the back of their zone.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right.
Keep
Towards
everything
the
in front
back,
of them.
back, probably in the back third.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, and my thing is if you have man guys, you can do man. I just think Minkah Fitzpatrick not being there, as I say, the secondary is like the farthest away from my wheelhouse in football as you can get. I at least can do wide receiver a little bit better. I mean, because to me, when you're coaching on the high school level, the coach is the coach to wide receivers on offense, coach to secondary on defense. Is how it works. The coach is the coach the running backs on offense, coach the linebackers on defense, and the line is the line. It's just what you do. So I, at least when it comes to receivers, because spending more time as an offensive coordinator, was able to do stuff with that. But with that, we just honestly, when I was a defensive coordinator for a freshman football team, we played cover 3. It's what we did. Even thirds, and we were playing a 5-3 defense. So our 3 linebackers on pass plays, they had short thirds, and the other 3 had deep thirds. That's what we did. Because you're just trying to get kids to figure out stuff from the beginning. But no, you've got to all be working together. But there are also the zone beaters, which frustrate me a lot. What is the pass that beats the zone? 15 yards down the field on the sideline. But notice, Steelers fans, that's where the back shoulder throw is a lot of times with George Pickens and things like that. There's that one spot that is like right in the corner between the 2 zones, right on the sideline, that is the one that is usually the most open against the zone. So the secondary struggled. And I think I think communication was their biggest problem.
There was a play that epitomized to me the communication and the issues that the Steelers were having on the back end. I don't even remember when it was, but I just remember seeing it just as clear a day in my head, especially when they were showing the replay from behind the quarterback. Love drops back. He starts getting pressure. He's continued to fall back, and he just throws it high deep into the left. And his guy was still in the middle of the field when he threw that ball out there. And there were 3 Steelers. And his guy went to where the ball was thrown, and the 3 Steelers did not. And it was caught for a long game. And that was frustrating.
Knight Rider uses the term. I didn't want to throw that out there. 1, because I was afraid I was going to say the wrong thing. And 2, I didn't know how many people would know it. Quarter flat is what that is the weak spot in the Tampa 2 zone. When you're doing things like that. So the defense was frustrating, but notice they got 2 touchdowns. Both those touchdowns were pretty nice plays. You have to admit.
The second one was a nice play. It was another one where the Steelers got decent pressure, and Love took a chance and threw it out there for his receiver to get. And the coverage was not how it should have been.
Mm-hmm. But he had to put it right there, which I thought was pretty nice.
I want to say, no, and he did. He put it right there. But it was like, oh, come on, guys. We got to be, it's one of those where the defense is like, come on, guys. We got to be better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
I almost broke into my impersonation there, but I won't do it.
Yes. So but my point was going to be, notice both touchdowns in the first half, somewhat early on. Why is the bend don't break defense something that the Steelers can do? To me, it's because
It works when you got it. It works the best when you got a guy in the back end that is amazing, aka Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But to me, what happens is the team gets closer and gets to the red zone. You simply have less field to defend.
Yes.
Once you are, you don't have to worry about covering 40 yards of field when the team is at the 20-yard line. You only won't have to worry about covering 30 yards of field. So as the team gets closer, the secondary crunches together more, which I think is what is what the Steelers ultimately need. Now, if you get Minka Fitzpatrick in there, now they've been having him play up a lot this year, up and in the box and helping him run support and things like that. Don't know if that's going to be the role for him now that the coverage linebackers are out. They might just need more coverage from him flat up and keep your run supporting linebackers. Who knows how they're going to get this all figured out. But you put Minka back there, if you have him actually back at free safety, then the rest of the defense feels like they're crunched down, like they are in the red zone a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you got Minka back there.
Yes.
But they haven't been, that's what they did more last year. So that's what they're doing. Afton wants to know how do you stop these third down conversions? And you want to know the truth, Afton? I'm going to bring it up. I dive into the numbers year after year. I haven't done it yet for this year. Everyone's like, oh, the Steelers giving up the third and longs. They don't give them up any more than everybody else in the NFL. Actually, they do better than most of the
except themselves.
Well, that's true too. Well, last year
they give up, and for us, I feel that's right now kind of what bugs you is we're allowing teams to convert third downs. We're not converting them.
Yeah. So if you pay attention, teams are converting third and longs all the time. So and their defenses that's happening too. But what defense you pay the most attention to is your own. So it would be better if they don't do that. But you know what? The whole league has to get better at doing that as well. So it's just kind of how it's going right now. You ready to talk a little bit more? I mean, we talked about the running game. Do you really want to get into anything else more with Kenny Pickett?
Nope.
He
didn't have a good game. I mean, there's not a whole lot.
No, he didn't. And the bottom, but he didn't have a great game. But here's what's crazy:
he didn't kill us. Didn't throw an interception.
Didn't kill us. Didn't throw an interception. Didn't fumble. Okay.
He didn't go all Josh Allen on us.
Didn't. Yeah. I was going to look up Allen's. Oh man. Last I saw, the Pens were tied 3-3. But yeah, then yeah, I thought I saw someone say Crosby hat trick. The last one was an empty netter, so that's nice. I only know that because I brought it up because I wanted to look at look specifically at Josh Allen's stats. Okay, because Josh Allen, where's the stats? You want to talk about a quarterback just throwing it up in the air and hoping the receiver makes a play. That's the play that set the Broncos up to the field goal at the end. He just chucked that ball super high and just hoped that. Allen completed 15 passes for 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a 59.3 rating. Yeah, that's not good.
And technically, and I don't know who gets credited with that fumble there on the handoff that the running back never even.
Oh, that should have been him.
He was a part of that.
Yeah. But even look at
because Cook never even put his hand, but still.
Jordan Love, 21 for 40, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kenny Pickett only completed 14 passes for 126 yards. That's where everyone's like, 126 yards. But think about it. The Steelers dropped back 24 times. Well, they might have dropped back one more because or a couple more because Kenny scrambled on a couple. So, but bottom line is they ran the ball more than they intended to pass the ball. That's what they did. But 126 yards and no touchdowns. But that no interceptions. Kenny Pickett's rating, 75.6. Jordan Love, 71.8. So you're saying it's not good. But the difference is he didn't have those interceptions. I mean, my goodness, the last time
and he had a serious running game.
Yeah. Think about this. Since the bye week, the only turnovers the Steelers have had, this is in the last 4 games, the only turnovers the Steelers had since their bye are 2 Mitch Trubisky interceptions. Now, can you say they've got lucky on stuff? We can talk about the forward pass, backwards pass, everything else. I thought watching the game as it happened that it was a backward pass. But and then, there was a little discussion going on Twitter between Nick Farabaugh and Chris Carter about how if it was overturned, it would have been the Packers' ball. That's what Farabaugh was saying. Then Chris Carter said no because of this. Farabaugh eventually said, you know what, you're right. Because they blew the whistle, it wouldn't have been the Packers' ball. Definitely wouldn't have been a touchdown.
Would have been the Steelers' ball.
But further back.
Yep.
Yeah. But then I had some interesting things showing up. It showed, because of the body position of everything, the ball, you don't look at the path of the ball. You look at where was the ball, at what yard line was it released, and at what yard line did it hit Jaylen Warren when he was reaching back, where he touched it. And it was actually very close. So honestly, I think whichever way they went with it on the field, they probably weren't going to overturn it. So, but that was one of those interesting things. If that would have been against the Steelers, I would have been ticked that they didn't get the ball. But that's why sometimes I don't think the right call is, call with the turnover so that way it gets reviewed. That seems like that's the philosophy that they want the officials to do. But then you get where you don't have a good angle of it on review. You can't get anything conclusive. And the official probably wouldn't have called it that in the first place, other than wanting to have the opportunity to review it. And now they're stuck with that call that I don't know that they even believed with in the first place. So
I agree with that. I agree with that statement. It is Wes, it
was not 100%. No, it wasn't.
It was not.
It was so close you can't say that it definitely 100% was. And that's why they should start using the chips that they have in the ball on there already for next gen stats to do stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. It's like
they have the technology. Stop using the chips.
Not just have the technology, they're using it elsewhere.
Yeah.
They don't have to it doesn't take a complete change in what they're doing. They're doing it, except for using it what they should be using it for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wes, I hate to tell you, you're wrong. You're wrong.
The definition of a lateral is that it has to go backward almost a complete yard in order for it to be a lateral.
I just have to say it because I saw Wes say that to somebody else that they were wrong. And
you tried to say that to somebody else.
Wes, what makes you 100% right?
Over everybody in the band is out of step except for Wes.
So it's really in the end, it's you know what? This was a really close call. Actually, really, the trick to it is, and this is actually what watching it at regular speed is the most difficult. Because here's part of what makes that even trickier to call. You have Kenny Pickett moving one direction, the ball moving another direction, Jaylen Warren moving another direction, but reaching back in the opposite direction he's moving. Yeah. So just the different movements in there were crazy. And I think I turned to Kyle during the game and said, I think I actually said to him, I have no idea how they're going to call this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I'm like, I really don't know. And bottom line is, it has to be, they basically have to be able to determine what yard line it is. And if they were doing it statistically, it would have to be 1 yard further back, which really means a half a yard. But it has to be at least the length of the ball backwards in order for it to be a lateral.
Here's what I'm saying is this, okay? Now, some people would say, hey, that official, they made that call. But I'm like, that official made that call so early. and so confidently
Yeah.
that official in the moment was sure
Was
what he
certain.
saw and made the call. And
Yeah.
and that I'm not going, I would actually rather that than them to be in the middle of the play saying, did it do this or did it do that? Oh, what do I do? What do I call? Maybe I'll wait. Maybe that official made the decision early. That was a forward pass.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure it was.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%
Not
sure it was a
100% sure it was the
lateral
other way
or
either,
backward
yeah.
pass either.
That's the thing. To say it was 100% anything is that, that's just not
Yeah,
what it is. Yeah. And like Steelers Freak said, once they blew the whistle, you can't go back. Because what it is you have to say that the way it works is there has to be an imminent recovery at the time of the whistle, that there was a player that was ready to recover that ball then. And when the whistle happened, that was not the case.
When the
So it
whistle
would have been
happened,
Steelers ball, but it would have been for the
I don't remember who it was, but there was a Steeler standing out. It was like right on a yard line.
Mhm.
And was getting ready to come back, and when the whistle blew, stood straight up.
Yeah. Yep.
And
It's like, why jump in a pile and hurt yourself when the whistle blows?
Yeah.
So, and if they're going to do that, where they say, well, after the whistle blew, someone recovered it, then you know what the problem is with that precedent? Then why would anyone stop for the whistle?
Yep.
Yeah. That's why they have to do that. So anyway, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I thought it was good. Steelers are moving forward.
Let's talk about the upcoming.
Yeah. And I don't want to talk about the upcoming before. I'm going to tell a little story. Okay. Here's the thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is it about a man named Jed?
Yeah. This is something that a lot of people, I'm really tired of. Well, in the playoffs, this isn't going to work. I keep reminding people, the playoffs aren't this week. I don't expect this Steelers team to be the same team in January that they are now. My hope is that they're better, and my huge hope is that they're not worse. But they're not going to be the same.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the same. None of these NFL teams are going to be the same. And just because a team has a bad week doesn't mean that's who they are. I mean, my goodness, the Chiefs scored 9 points when they lost to the Broncos.
Yep.
Is that who they are for theirs? No, that's not. So you got to remember how this goes. But it's not always about where you are now. And now, can you say, well, what they're doing now doesn't give you as much hope to be at the end? You can look at it that way, or you cannot. That is really up to everybody. My thing is, I have a little bit more hope because I've seen what Kenny Pickett can do in the fourth quarter. I've seen that it's possible. And additionally, now I'm seeing what they can do with the run game. And more importantly, because I think it's what really determines offensive success is the offensive line has played better the last 2 games.
Yep.
Because I think that determines so much of it. So that's why I have hope to have it be better then, because to me, it all starts with the offensive line. Now,
well, and a few of those things that I'm wanting to see are starting to trend. So that's what I want to say. The trend is your friend.
How soon are they going to get there?
Yep.
But the other thing is look at where we were at the end of last season. Saying, oh, if only the Steelers wouldn't have started 2-6. Okay. Bad keeps saying they started 2-7. They were never 2-7. They were 2-6, then 3-6, then 3-7. So I got to correct them on that one. Now the Steelers are finding those ways to win, not losing the game. I mean, my goodness, the Ravens game last year, every time they had a chance to win, Trubisky threw interceptions when Kenny Pickett got knocked out last year. That's what happened. You don't want those kind of losses. Okay. So they're playing not to lose the game early in the season, which is fine. I want to see them evolve to be they're playing to win by the end of the year to make the postseason. Because when you go into there, you got to play to win.
They're doing what?
Huh?
What are they doing?
You know what? I'm trying to figure out what to do. I think I know.
See, you're terrible.
You play to win the game.
Yes. It's because I'm trying to pay attention to the live chat, and I have to do 4 clicks to get over to the clips. Okay. You know how they're there for you to use too. You can hit anytime you want. But okay. I'm going to give an example. All right. some people like reality TV, some people don't. I'm not a big fan of it, but there are a couple things that I do like. And there's a show that I watch with my kids. Now we're behind. We DVR it, and we're way behind. We just started the 4th season, although it's been going for a while. And that show is Lego Masters, where every week they're, Will Arnett's the host, and and you're given a task. You have to build these designs and all this stuff, and someone gets sent home, and they get all the way to the end. Now, the first 2 seasons, I got frustrated at the end because they had already picked who they wanted to win partway through, because whenever that team was the worst team that week, they just decided not to send anybody home. And then that team ended up winning. Exactly what they did is how it played out both seasons. Season 3, it wasn't like that. But there was this pair. It was 2 people that, I don't know if it was YouTube, TikTok, whatever. They were social influencers. They did Lego stuff on there. They had never built Legos together before, together live in their life. They come to be on this show. I think they actually won the first challenge. Did a real nice job. But then they hit a stretch in the middle of the show where it was either 4 or 5 straight episodes where they would bring 2 teams down to be in the bottom 2, and then they would announce to go home. They were in the bottom 2 every week for 4 or 5 weeks, but didn't get sent home. They were just good enough to get by. But you know what happened at the end? They got down to where they actually made the final 4. And then all of a sudden they came together and they had a really nice build. And they made the finale, which was 3. You know what they did on the finale? They crushed it. They just blew everyone away at the end. Were they the best team the whole time? They were not. They did enough to stick around. And when it mattered, they came through as the best. That's my hope for the Steelers. Now, are they definitely going to get there? No way you could say that's definitely going to happen. It's going to be an exact repeat of last year of all these wins down the stretch. No, but that's what I'm looking for. As long as they're getting by now, but building towards something better is what I ultimately want to see.
Yes. Right. It's my thing is this: the Steelers have put themselves in a good position where they can have an opportunity to make the postseason. The question is going to be, what do they do between now and the end of the regular season to A, get there, but B, going in the right direction so that they can potentially make some noise in the postseason?
Yeah.
And we don't know what that's going to look like. We have no clue yet. So
yeah. And this comes back. I know we got to get going. I got a couple things to do real quick. This comes back to something that Coach Tomlin talked about with the rookies in the press conference today. He said he wants them to finish their season with their arrow pointing up. To me, that said, not that I necessarily agree with it, but I keep saying, hey, the Steelers' philosophy is they don't want the rookies to burn out. Coach Tomlin even talked about the preseason games are different for the rookies than the veterans. They're like real games. So you're talking about them playing 20 games because they're amped up trying to show what they deserve to be in the NFL. So they have those games. The reason they don't get them going too much, I mean, look, Kenny Pickett last year, if he wouldn't have been injured and missed the game against the Panthers, his regular season would have been exactly how many games he played at Pitt the year before. It's almost like they're trying. They don't want the rookies to wear out and fall off at the end of the year. They want them to still be trending up when they get there.
We don't want them to hit a wall. We don't want them to hit a wall in week 16 because then those rookies are no good as you get ready to go to the postseason.
Yeah. So. Now, I got a couple super chats too. Before I do that, I got to give a shout out. Did you see who's in the live chat?
Yes,
I did. Felicia. I haven't seen Felicia for a long time.
Felicia.
Good to see you back.
Where you been?
Yeah. So just had to put that out there. That's really good. All right. We have one really old one. $5. Sean Manahan, long time ago, put this in the tip jar. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if you mentioned it this or not, but the last 3 weeks, the red zone defense has been number 1 in the NFL. I didn't know they were number 1. Did you know they were number 1?
I didn't know they were number 1. I knew they were good.
They were doing good. Yeah, that in the red zone, they're keeping teams out of the touchdown zone.
Yeah. Now it took a couple pretty nice interceptions this week to help with that.
Yeah.
But it still happened.
And then the other super chat is, I didn't even see who it was. I just had it in a list. It's from Felicia, $5. Thank you very much, Felicia.
Seen her for forever. She comes back and drops the super chat. I mean,
yep.
Gotta love her.
Yeah. She said in 2000, or sorry, I think she said 2020. I think she missed the 20. And 2021, her digits were off a little bit there. They were 11-0 and ended 12-4. No one believed we deserved to go to the playoffs with Ben. We got Kenny Pickett, and I don't care what people say, just win. You know what? That's the division right now. Jeff's going to talk about that on Let's Ride tomorrow morning. So if you don't listen to our audio podcasts, you are really missing out. You can get them anywhere you get podcasts. Like Apple's a good place. That's where I listen to all mine. But yeah, you got to get there. But I want the Steelers to be a team on the rise. Now, also, I don't want the Steelers to do what people feared the 49ers did and peak in week 4 or 5. You know, I don't think that's the case now. They look pretty good this week. But going into their bye, losing 3 straight and going into a bye week, man, their fan base was like, man, this team peaked way too soon. I don't want the Steelers peaking now. I want it all rising action. Give me all rising action. I'm not ready for that climax yet. Sorry that I went all literary there. So, now, Steelers freak, I was going to bring this up before too. He says, I read that Warren is listed as the starting running back. That was a false article by Bleacher Report where they said that Jaylen Warren replaced Najee Harris as the starter. That never happened.
Never happened.
And there was a lot of Pittsburgh media that called that out. I know Mick Faribault did. Mark Cabali called it out. That was just, it was just a terribly misleading, flat up lie of what was going on. It was, Jaylen Warren got announced as a starter at the game. Oh, that's the story. He's replaced Najee Harris. No, he didn't.
Nope.
So
Najee was announced as well.
Yeah. So no, I'm not speaking like that to Steelers freak. I'm like, yeah, that's where you would have read that. They did that because Coach Tomlin knew they were going to be using both of them, wanted to give him a chance to run out of the tunnel with his name being announced as well, thought he deserved it. And there it is. Rich, we've got to get to it. We're running over again. I said,
who was left out then, Dave?
That's the other thing. And I'm just like, well, there's the punishment. It was one George Pickens. Did not get announced.
Who ironically, though, on the first play of the game, was on the field.
Was on the field, yeah. So it was all
because
about
he caught the first pass. He caught a pass, first play of the game.
And I said that in our Slack channel. I'm like, I guess that was his punishment. Not that he didn't get to start, but he didn't get to get announced. So, but no, Jaylen Warren's really doing that nice though.
I'm telling you, right now, I am loving the two-headed beast at running back.
Yes.
Right now, I really am. I think it could really work in the Steelers' favor. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Now, Rich, you've been at 2 other home games. Who was announced, offense or defense, when you were there? You remember? Was George Pickens announced?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so, because he normally would get announced. So, yeah. So, very, very interesting. So, Rich, let's talk about this game coming up. To me, what we were talking about is important. Steelers, so are they going to go out with the Browns and attack and just try and win, or are they going to do everything they can to not lose the game throughout the game to then give themselves a chance to win at the end? Or get themselves a lead and do everything they can to not lose. So, what are your thoughts? You don't have to give me your score yet. Just give me some thoughts on the game coming up. Yeah. No. Okay.
Everybody listening has no clue, but
Rich just throws his hand.
I don't know.
You like me?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know.
Could the Steelers come out and win this game? Absolutely. Could the Steelers come out and just, if Minka Fitzpatrick doesn't play, there's still no communication. The Browns are able to run the ball like crazy because the inside linebackers are still trying to figure it out. And it's just one of those games that you're just like, they're just get it out of your system and just get trounced, and you got to learn from it, move on. I could see it either way.
I don't know. Just let me say this. If the Steelers defense can, start the game holding Deshaun Watson, 1 for 9 with an interception, 1 for 9 for, it was like 6 yards and an interception.
Pick 6.
Yeah. And I would hope that they would continue allowing him to play that way and not let him come back huge and beat you. But
yeah, because he was like, he had crazy second half stats there. I'm like, those are supposed to be two elite defenses, and they're just letting that go on the rest of the game. So
That was part of what I thought too. You know, it's like, oh, it's like, yeah. Well, we'll see.
All right. So, are you ready to give us your score prediction?
Sure.
Okay. Now, remember, everyone in the live chat, you got to wait. Don't throw yours out there. I'll put it out there, and then we'll read them all off as quick as we can.
All right. Do you want me to do my other thing before or after the score prediction?
I can't remember what your other thing is. Go for it. You can do it now. Do it now.
Okay. Hey, got to throw out there to everybody. I have a pair of tickets for sale. I didn't have them, and then suddenly, my folks that were going to take them had something come up, so they're not going to be taking them. So I have a set of tickets, 2 tickets, section 539, row V, seats 12 and 13. $100 a piece, so $200 for the pair. If anybody's interested, Dave has thrown my email up on the screen.
It's on the screen.
Rich Schofield. Schofield was SCHO Field at yahoo.com. And just pop me an email. First come, first serve. I got some other places I'm eventually going to put them up because the time is running short for me to try to see and get rid of them. Although I will say, in the end, if I do not get rid of them, I'm going. But
me too.
I really don't want to
at that game. So if you buy Rich's tickets,
don't want. This was a game I really wasn't planning on going to, but if push comes to shove, I'm going.
Yep.
So
okay. So
all right. Now, score prediction.
Hold on. We got a super chat from Afton. She wants to know if there's any news of Watson's ankle. No.
He has Ashton, he has 2 of them.
Yeah, he has 2 of them.
Yes. So
we'll find out more with tomorrow's first injury report. That's when we'll actually get there.
All right. Now
score prediction.
Now okay. Score prediction. Okay. I'm not sure what to think. You know, sometimes I always base it off of what the team we're playing did the week before. I don't know what to say after watching what went on with that Cleveland-Baltimore game. I have no clue what the Cleveland Browns are right now.
Yeah.
They're not just Jekyll and Hyde. They were Jekyll and Hyde within the same game.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. Going to be tough for the Steelers to go into Cleveland and do it. The Browns are going to be looking for a little bit of payback after what the Steelers did on Monday Night Football in week 2. I expect it to be another close game. I'm saying Steelers probably come up on the short end this time. I'm going to say Browns 21, Steelers 18.
21-18. Okay. There we go. Marky D wants to know if those are 2024 tickets.
Yeah.
No,
Marky D, no. They
coming
would be
up
for
December 3rd.
They would be for December 3rd of this year against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep. And here we go. A lot of people were ready. We got Christopher 11. He's got 28-17 Steelers. Remember, if you don't say a team, we're going to assume you mean Steelers. Afton Ford says 21-20 Steelers. Steelers Freak said that Watson says he's going to play, but yeah, we'll see. Steel Dog 88 says 20-17 Steelers in OT. There he is. I didn't even know if Thomas Riley was here tonight.
I was going to say I hadn't seen him all night, but he's there and he's ready.
24-24 Steelers, Browns. Still doesn't trust the black and gold. Okay. George says 27-17 Steelers. Kathy Ford says 21-18 Steelers. So she has your score, but the other way around. Steelers Pittsburgh says 24-10 Steelers. Kevin Brokenborough says 23-17 Steelers. Felicia, says 16-14 with the Steelers win. Okay. Somebody said, here's what. Brian Brown says 23-21. Boz turn to win the game. Somebody sent me an idea for a shirt that I sent on to Jeff that he's going to try to do. I'm going to say it on this show, so I hope Jeff isn't upset. Said, it's not that Boz is automatic. He's Bozomatic. Bozomatic.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah. Wes, he's back on the train. He said they were going to go 2-whatever the rest of the season. They won last week, and now he thinks they're going to win this week. So, it's going to be bad the rest of the way. So, Wes has 25-18 Steelers. Okay, because he thinks Watson's going to throw a bunch of picks, which would not surprise me at all. Sorry, everything just went away for me for a second. Sean Manahan says, did it come up? Steelers 27, Clown 17. Valley Ford says 23-17 Steelers. Brent House says 26-16 Steelers. John Walter has 20-17 Steelers. Joseph Donovan has 26-23 Steelers. This is a much different crowd than how they were in the post-game show. Sunday. I don't think we would have seen these scores. Okay.
I don't think so.
Outside Steelers fan says good guys 24-17, and it's not going to be as close as what the score says. Dennis C says that it's Browns 24, Steelers 16. Jay Hanna says I clicked it 21-20 Steelers. Kobe DeCan 24-17 Browns. Knight Rider has 23-19 Steelers. Someone's asked for what game the ticket was for. Just remember,
Arizona, December 3rd.
It's the next time the Steelers are at home. It's their next home game, the first Sunday in December. Okay. Gavin Anthony says 23-20 Browns. He says flip the score if Minka plays. That's a pretty.
I was sitting there thinking that's a pretty good
prediction. You know,
it's a pretty good take.
Yeah. Oh. Mark Tobin says 35-17 Steelers. He's guaranteeing a victory. Go for it, Mark. Yeah. Let's see. Sherry Richards says 23-19. It's a 23-19, which is what I said after the game. And then the Steelers even tweeted it out later. Okay.
Yeah. I almost put it in the knee-jerk reaction, but I didn't.
Oh, Marky D. Steelers Nation, I'll show you. Steelers 22, Bengals suck. Brown 17. He will get that in anywhere he can. Mr. Woodside says Browns 20-19. Let's see. Okay, now Wes is ready for them to go 13-4. I got you, Wes. Good. I'm glad you had a change of heart after last week. You had me concerned. I'm like, come on, Wes always still believes. Justin Gall says Browns 31, Steelers 28. He says Pickett's going to have a big game, but the Steelers still are going to win. Jeremiah Yoder says 25-16 Steelers. Steelers Fanatic 78 says 27-24 Steelers. Jennifer says 13-16 Steelers. Richard Adamson says 27-21 Steelers. Ruben Stone says 24-20. Good guys. Kenny will be back. That's all I got right now. So I've already said, make sure you check out all our podcasts. Let's Ride tomorrow. If you want to hear some more Kenny Pickett stuff, trying to put that to bed. Jeff's going to have a good talk about that. But we have a regular schedule coming up because it's Sunday, 1:00 when God intended NFL football to be played. Michael, is that Crudell? I'll say that. I'll go with it. 15-12 Browns. Okay. I thought Sherry put up a score of 12-5, but no, she still thinks the Steelers can go 12-5. Like to start. So, Rich, what do you have to say to close? Oh, you got your Worthless 2 Cents article that'll be out tomorrow on SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Make sure you check that out. I've got the Players Mentioned article. And Rich, what do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
All right. Well, hey, we're gonna. I feel bad for the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're having to just cross over those state lines to that state that just smells jaggy when you get there. But the Steelers, they're gonna suck it up. They're gonna go to that god-awful city that never rocked, and they're going to do battle with the Browns. I expect another close game. This will not be a blowout either way. I expect another close game. Honestly, just watch. If you didn't watch the Pittsburgh Dad episode came out today, watch it. I thought it was hilarious when he had his puke bucket ready because that's how I feel some weeks. I expect it to be another game kind of like that. It's going to be either utter joy or utter disappointment right at the very end. Why? Because that seems to be how the Steelers play football. at least there's one really good thing about the Steelers playing this week, and that is that they will be playing at 1:00 on Sunday when God intended football to be played. And because of that, you can almost guarantee that if I am not in the stadium, I am sitting on my couch in front of my TV with Kyle sitting on the other couch, listening to me yell at the TV, getting mad when I change the channel like our father used to in the middle of the game. But it will always and forever be the most enjoyable thing I do. I love Steeler football. Can't wait.
Can't wait.